Hey everyone, welcome back to the All Music Matters on That podcast. I'm your host, Brian. And joining me today is a special guest. We got Ken Pike from the band Absolon. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Not too bad. Got to deal with the weather kind of changed, so unfortunately I got hit with a cold at the last second. So unfortunately, not sounding the greatest, but I mean, hey, we're getting there. Fortunately, same spring days are around the corner, even though it'll be colder nights. So it'll be 60s and then it'll be like 30 at night. So what do you expect?
Where are you at?
I hail from Steel City, Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. Okay. All right.
Where-
Yeah. It's a little cold. Still a little cold there.
Pretty much, yeah. It's the last remnant of winter, we want to call it that. So,
Same here. It's still cold in Illinois too.
which part of Illinois are you hailing from?
Well, right now we live in a little. Well, I call it a little town. It's called Beardstown. It's right off the Illinois River. And so I guess we're kind of like central Illinois. Kind of a different place, kind of.
All right, good enough. Actually, are you close to Chicago by any chance?
Nah, we're about 4 hours south from Chicago. So yeah, luckily we're not too close to Chicago. I don't care nothing about being near Chicago. So no offense to anyone from Chicago.
I was going to say, I think one person might take offense. My good friend Nate from Bottom Iniquity hails from there too. So, unfortunately, hopefully he doesn't take offense. So, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Nate. So, but he's doing well. And shout out to Nate, by the way. So, also shout out to Mike Lynn, who's also hailing from Illinois as well. A good part, he said. I don't know if he was central as well or eastern or western half of Illinois, but still from the state of Illinois nonetheless too. So, shout out to Mike Lynn, by the way. So,
It's a good state. Now we've only been here 2.5 years, so I'm a Southern boy. So coming from the South to the Midwest, a little bit different.
I was say I'm Southern, y'all.
That's right. I'm just but I'm getting used to the Midwest and the people right here. So,
Y'all are famous, that's for sure. So that's all good.
y'all, bless your heart.
Yeah, there's that too. Actually, I remember. I actually didn't take part of it, but I remember my parents would talk to me about this one pastor when they were down in the deep south of Louisiana. They were seeing my nephew's baptism. So when the priest is going around blessing everybody with holy water, he's like, "Y'all reject Satan."
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Oh, well, yeah, that's the South is the Bible Belt. There's I was from North Carolina, so which is considered the deep South, and a lot of churches, mostly Southern Baptist, and it's a different type of people. Yeah, yeah. Southern folk are good folk, though. I mean, we're friendly. Mostly, we'll invite you up
Mostly.
on the porch for a glass of sweet tea, and come sit a spell and take it easy. That's the Southern way. you know.
Little
But
Southern hospitality, yeah.
yeah, that's right. Just slow down. Y'all up there up north, just y'all move too fast. Got to slow down. So I'm kind of that way too. You know, that's why I was like almost late for this interview.
Yeah,
So anyway,
took it a little too slow. And we're already on
yeah,
Saturday.
yeah. Well, Saturday you're supposed to be slow. So you know, but born in the South, and but I was raised in the city of Los Angeles in California. So I grew up actually in a big city. That's why I don't care nothing about a big city anymore. But I was still raised in a very Southern household. I tell you, Lord have mercy. It was we brought the South with us to California. So everyone in my family all had real deep Southern dialect, Southern food, Southern values. I was raised with one foot in the South and one foot in the hustle and bustle and everything of the city. And I grew up in two different worlds at the same time. So
You got the best of both worlds, if we like to call it that. So
yeah. I worked I worked real hard all through my childhood, net not to sound like my parents and my grandfolks. I worked real hard to get rid of any trace of Southern accent, and did really good. And then I ended up moving to getting sent to Florida on a promotion with my job. And over time, now people call the Florida the South just because it was part of the Confederacy during the Civil War. I don't. To me, Florida's not the South because there's a bit of everything in Florida. There's Northerners, we call them snowbirds, but a lot of Northerners, and then there's of course Floridians. That's been there for generations, and then there's a lot of other people. So it's not really the South to me, but you still have the Southern accent there in Florida, big time. So over time, it started coming back, and after 26 years in Florida, I found that if I really when I start talking, it starts coming out, and then people go, "Where are you from?" Well, it's like, well, I'm from North Carolina, but I was raised in Los Angeles, and I'm in Florida. It's like, well, you sound like you have an accent. Like, well, you can thank Florida for that. So now I'm working on it again, trying to tame the Southern sound. So I will speak, like a normal person without an accent.
you could try, but it's all good here too. I'm at least familiarized with the Southern dialect, to be honest too. Always love the Shoney's as we used to drive a whole bit to Georgia because my cousin has a house down there. And along the way, you always see like a bunch of restaurants on the side, and it seems like Shoney's is like the bigger one you see along the side there too. So and I always drove my sister crazy because she always hated Shoney's for some reason. So
that's like Waffle House. So Waffle House is real big. Well, I know in Florida Waffle House is real big, but I think in the South in general. And if you want some good old greasy type truck stop food, Waffle House is a place for you. But now I can speak with the like a New York accent too. So forget about it. I'll be a mobster if you want. So
he's got a little bit of the yuppie side, as I think some of the deep Southern folk would call it. He came out of the cities.
Yeah. I like try to sound like from Brooklyn, we're 33rd and 3rd. Forget about it. So, but yeah. I do all kinds of dialects. I'm a vocalist. I sing, I write songs, and I do different dialects and stuff that drive my wife nuts. So don't be surprised if somewhere along the line I pop into my Indian accent. Like, I'm from India, so don't. My voice will start going up and down.
I don't know what to go to Los Angeles. So.
Yes. Well, okay. I'm sorry. I just went off on a I told you. I warned you. So
it's the Southern hospitality side. It's just coming out of him again too. So
yeah, I go off a tangent, and you have to pull me back in. So.
To be like,
yes, reel me back in.
There we go.
Be like, hey, what road are you going down? So, anyway.
I'm not going down that dirt road to that dilapidated house where I think the Texas Chainsaw Massacre happened. We're going this direction right here too. So
yeah, so
it's all good.
Okay.
I should have some good entertainment. All right. But Ken, I want to welcome you to my podcast right here. And the way it's going to work is let's get to know you more, both as the musician, but also as the individual too. So I do the questions too. So did you do your homework?
Kinda. In between moving, I tried. Am I going to be graded on this at the end?
We'll have to see. But let's make some good entertainment out of this too. So you ready?
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right. So start with you in general too, I guess. Tell us your backstory a little bit too. So I guess who are you and how did you become a musician?
Well, like I just rambled on about, I was originally from North Carolina and moved to Los Angeles in California when I was about, I don't know, 3. And so I was raised in LA, fast paced LA. And as I got older, I went into police work and did law enforcement for over 30 years till I retired in 2013. I am retired. Music-wise, I got interested in music when I was about 7. And my grandmother, also from the South, she had an upright piano. And when I was 7, I started banging away on that piano, just making up stuff. And then I started plucking out songs I hear on the radio. And then I moved on to when I got, I don't know, about 14, I started getting into, rock, rock and roll and stuff like that. And got my first guitar, which was an old classical gut string guitar with a little hole in the back and a semi-bowed neck. And that's what I learned to play guitar on, which it turned out to be good because it really built my hands and fingers up because it was a bear of a guitar to play. Then from there, of course, my passion for music exploded, and I knew I wanted to play guitar. For a while, I thought I wanted to do drums, but my parents would have nothing to do with that. They weren't even going to entertain the idea of me playing drums. So no drums. So I went back to guitar. Tried bass for a while. I like playing bass. But then I got my first electric guitar when I was about 16. I had gotten into a garage band, and I was just going to sing, I guess, but I wanted to play guitar. So I got my first electric guitar and a big giant, it was called an acoustic amp. It was big, just big giant thing. But you think it would be super loud like a Marshall stack or something, but it wasn't. And then, let's see, I played in garage bands for a while. And then when I was about 19 or so, I got into my first, what I call semi-professional band. They were called Town Crier. Maybe I was 20. But anyway, I got into first semi-professional band, and it was all originals. That's all I ever did was originals. I only played one time in a cover band. It was a blues band doing Stevie Ray Vaughan and stuff like that, and I hated it. But always done originals. So I was in Town Crier for probably about 8 months before they broke up. But the Town Crier is where I really started honing my songwriting skills. I had been writing music, all the years before that when I was in garage bands, but they weren't the greatest songs. They were okay. I kind of tried to mimic. Because I was into the Beatles, of course, like a lot of musicians in the 70s and that. So I tried mimicking the Beatles. So my songs were kind of Beatle-ish. And then I got into like Styx and Foreigner and Boston and bands like that. So then my music kind of started going that direction. And that's when I started learning to really sing. Up until then, I kind of sang like John Lennon, It was very, very dry, very Lennon. And so I started learning from sticks, listening to Dennis DeYoung to put the in my voice, the tremolo or vibrato or whatever in my voice. From there, I got into, in the early 80s, I discovered heavy metal. And that was all she wrote. I became a diehard, to this day, metalhead. And got it. Mostly it was the European metal, new wave of British heavy metal, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Saxon. Thin Lizzy was from Ireland. They were more hard rock, but And that got me into vocally singing, trying to mimic that. So I started singing more like trying to get so the light isn't blinding. I got into singing like that. So I went from the Dennis DeYoung, babe, I love you, to and then I discovered my greatest influence, and which vocally became my major influence, and that was Jeff Tate from Queensryche. And I'm, of course, to this day, except I have to put a qualifier on this. It's the Jeff Tate Queensryche days. I think some of Queensryche's new, late stuff, newer stuff, whatever's okay, but I just Jeff Tate. So that's what I wanted to sound like vocally. I like that operatic, clean sound. So that's what I went for, and that's kind of what I've sounded like ever since, even now. And so that brings me. I told you that it's gonna be a long history. So then, band-wise, I was in a metal band in the 80s called Malachiah, and it was a very popular, what they called white metal band, Christian heavy metal. And it was pretty popular, put out one EP and an album and 2 videos, got played on MTV, played a ton of shows, sold a lot of albums. It was a really popular band. But then grunge came along and killed metal. And we were ready to move up to the next level. And it kind of died because of grunge. So I put music away for a while, ended up moving to Florida, got into the blues cover band, did that for a while, and then I got sick of it, and I put together my own band called Turnpike. That was like an alternative rock band they call Chick Music, and I did that for almost 6 years. Had some of the best musicians in Florida, and that band got really super popular. We put out 3 albums, sold a lot, played House of Blues and hard rock all the time. Had a huge following. And then finally, at one point, the drummer quit. He wanted to move on. He wanted to move to another state, and after he left, and he was kind of a unique sound to the band, so it was hard to replace him, and we just never found another drummer to replace him, and everything kind of just fell apart after that. So Turnpike died. And then I put music away again for a while. I'd had it, I was burnt out, and we've been close to major success twice, and it's like, maybe this just isn't for me. I just do my job and find another hobby. I don't know, collect buttons or something. And then I got up one day. I had my guitar and amplifier sitting down in the den, and I strapped on my guitar, put on distortion, and I wrote the first song for the debut Absolon album that day. I was just like, oh, metal is back. So I decided, okay, I'm going to just do 4 songs. I'll just do 4 songs, put it out there and see if anybody gives a crap about any of this. Well, 4 songs turned into the debut album, and put it out. It did really well, got a lot of really good reviews. And I put together a band, really good top gun musicians, and went out and did a lot of playing with that band, and grew a really good audience. And then my guitarist, after 4 years, the guitarist who was in Turnpike with me, it became too much. It was becoming overwhelming. He had family obligations, and his job was he'd gotten promoted, and his job was becoming very, whatever. So he had to quit, and I just couldn't replace. His name was Ed Dumas. I couldn't replace Ed. He was that sound, the sound of the Absolon at that time, which is not the sound now. And I just couldn't replace him. So this journey goes all over the place. Me and my wife started a project called Fire Sphere, and we put out an album called Requiem. And I'll be darned, it didn't do really well, and sold a lot, and got really great reviews. And we put together this big show, and brought in really good musicians, put together a big show. We wore costumes. We had names, stage names, had a big video screen production thing behind us. We put on a big show. Well, that went really well, and we started building a really good audience, and we were getting ready to do the second album, and then COVID hit. And COVID that was it. We couldn't go out and play anymore, and everybody just kind of went, well, if we can't play, so then it died. So there's like, how many times? 3, 4 times doing really, really well musically, and then something comes along and knocked it down to the ground. And the Malachi was, I would say, was the closest to major success I've been in my life. I mean, we were on the cusp of, being up there with Cinderella and Poison and Warrant and, all that. At the time, Striper and all that. So that was the closest I come to major success. But so after that, we moved to Illinois, where I am at now. And I decided to do another Absolon album. So last year I put out Portrait of Madness. And that one is, it's not my favorite Absolon album. I don't know why I decided to do another concept album, but I did. And I really don't like it. So I don't talk much about Portrait of Madness. So, and now I got the new one out, and I love the new one. I got new players, and they brought a whole new sound and energy to the album, but I won't get ahead of, because I think that's one of your questions. So I'm not going to dive into that yet.
It's coming up here pretty soon, yeah. But actually, it's a pretty extensive story. But you said you were actually a former police officer. I guess, were you doing that all during your years in Florida?
Yeah. I went on the police department in a city called Vernon, down in was it East Los Angeles or Southeast Los Angeles? And I was a police officer from 1982 to 1990. And then I joined, I got hired by the Department of Justice and went to work for the Bureau. And I did that until I retired in 2013. So I went from being a street cop to a Fed. And I could have worked a few more years. They had a retirement mandate age of 57, but I just got up one morning and I was eligible for retirement, and I told myself, said, you know, I'm tired of this now. This is a young man's game. I'm getting too old for this, you know, fighting people and dealing with bad guys and getting shot at and everything that comes along with that kind of law enforcement. I was just tired of it. And I went in that day, went to Human Resources and said, hey, what do I need to do to retire? I filled out the paperwork, and then I think it was a year later. I think I started the process in 2012, and then I retired in 2013. So a little over 30 years. And the whole time I was in all this band, this music. I was a cop when I was in Malakaya, and that's why I had short hair. Everyone else in the band had long hair and all that. I had the short hair, kind of like Jeff Tate did at the beginning. So it was cool. You know, it set us apart from all the other bands we were playing with. But yes, I was in law enforcement from the very beginning, all the way till I retired with that, and I was doing Absolon. So, yeah.
Yep. Actually, first off, thank you so much for your service too. It really means a lot. So.
No, I appreciate it. I wouldn't do it now. I know that.
That's for sure, yeah. Because now we're enjoying the music scene. But I guess, how was it really? I guess, were you really taking down like cartel sort of figures, or I guess what sort of line of work were you doing?
I with the feds, I dealt with a little bit of everything. With it was the drugs, rapists, murderers, mafia, different gangs, and other organized crime organizations and stuff like that. So I dealt with really bad guys. Yeah. So
That was some very bad people. Yeah, I can see what you mean.
yeah,
too.
I dealt with the kind of people that had no problems, you know, shooting you in the face, you know, or stringing you up somewhere and cutting your throat or whatever they do. Yeah. So after so many, 24 years of that, it starts getting on you, you know, because you're in law enforcement, your personality changes. You change. You have to change. And the only thing that kept me anchored was the music. That kind of kept me from totally going to the dark side and being a total 100% asshole. But you have to be a certain person when you're on the street or when you're dealing with bad guys. You have to be a different person. So I got tired of getting up every day and putting on my face and my armor and everything, and then going out there and having to be something that deep down inside I really wasn't, but I had learned to become. So, and now after how long? We're about 2013. How many years I've been retired? Now I'm a totally different person. Now I'm nothing like that anymore. Now I'm just kind of funny, relaxed. Talk a lot. And that kind of thing now. But I mean, I can turn it on really quick if I have to. If somebody, wants to get funny with me or something, or wants to try to be intimidating or something like that, whatever. I can turn it on again really quick. I'm not as big as I used to be, but I can still turn it on. And so it's
I still have some hooks. I still got the hooks right here. Everything too. So.
Yeah, I can turn it on real quick, but I haven't had to. I get it. I turn it on when somebody tailgates me. That really pisses me off. So my wife she just starts laughing because I'll turn it when someone's tailgating me, and I'm like, I'm going to stop this car and I'm going to get out and pull you out of that car. I'm going to beat you to death. She's just laughing because she knows I'm not going to do that. There might have been a time when I would have, but, so anyway, that's just a little personal side story that I don't like tailgaters. So if you're ever out there, don't tailgate me.
I'm gonna say, boy, you're asking for an ass whooping. I'm gonna pull you out of that car and knock you some sense. Yeah. That's the other thing too with the Southern dialect. They also have to use boy a little bit as well, even though it's meant for like younger people. Even though sadly, I think it also is used for like racial terms as well too. But it's meant to be the innocent sort of term too. It's almost like someone who's younger than you. That's pretty much what I meant to say. So
I say son.
Son, yeah. There you go.
Son, you got an ass whooping coming. I'll open a can of ass whoop. But yeah. So I'm a humanitarian and a pacifist now. Yeah. Most of the time.
That's good here. Yeah. Can't have too much violence these days too. We got plenty of that going around. So
yeah. Don't need to add any more to it. So I'm just a nice guy now. Can you tell?
That's all we need a shirt. We need to say hate and then put in parentheses, don't need it. That's all we need.
Well, I got my Batman shirt it says, always try to be yourself. Unless you can be Batman, then always be Batman. Yeah.
And that way you can hit the criminals legally, is what you'd like to say. So.
Or John Wick. Yeah.
Oh, Wick. Actually, no, he's shooting the people up too, so I don't know if we want to do that.
Well, I go around drive my wife nuts because it's all they go, yeah. All the time. She'll ask me a question, I go, yeah. Anyway, you have to see John Wick, I guess, to get it. Anyway.
Hey, Keanu Reeves, great actor too. So I know my dad actually saw all four of them too, but I think they kept getting a little bit cheesier because if they were just doing strictly action, there wasn't much of a story after the first one. I think the first one would probably be what people would say is like the greatest John Wick. So
yeah, the rest were just for pure watching him kick everyone's butt and shoot everybody, and so. But I still enjoyed them, kind of like the Equalizer movies. So I enjoyed those with Denzel Washington. Kind of same thing, He kicks everyone's butt and with style. So
I guess Denzel Washington's black. So yeah.
Yeah. I guess I like maybe that's still that little piece inside me. That's like, kick his butt. But so okay. Continue on, sir.
No worries. But like I said, thank you so much for your service too. Hopefully everything's all good. And actually, last one I did want to ask too, I guess, how'd you balance working as a police officer and then also doing all this music work?
It was difficult, especially when I was a street cop. It was very difficult because of shift work. And, the other guys on the department, they didn't quite understand, what I was doing, the metal, and I would go in, because remember, this was early 80s. So, wearing either, like leather or spandex, things like that, and a little bit of makeup and all that, on stage. And of course, I got a lot of jokes. I was a good cop, so they just teased me and whatever. But and I was a power lifter, so I was really pretty big. So they had respect for me, but I got teased a lot. So, but somehow I did it. I don't know. It's funny. I look back now and I don't know how I did it, but I did it. It was just like, stepping from one world into another world. I mean, here I go from being Mr. Law Enforcement and maybe, whatever I went through that particular day, and then going to rehearsal, and putting on my metal hat and becoming a musician and singer and frontman, or going from that to doing a show, getting up on stage and, putting aside the, even though, I got my gun with me and all that kind of stuff. So it was very strange, and but it worked. I did it. I don't know how I did it, but it worked, and it was fun. And like I said, the music kept me balanced. I think it kept me from just totally losing my mind. And so many folks in law enforcement, well, just in any kind of first responder type jobs. It could be a fireman, it could be EMT, ambulance drivers, anyone that deals with daily trauma, of the human nature. You can get so sucked into that job that you get to the point where all you do, you only hang out with people you work with or within the same profession, especially law enforcement. You just start hanging out with nothing but cops or other law enforcement because they're the only people that understand you and what you're going through. And then you get the attitude, there's the whole the thin blue line thing. And it can become a very dark place. And that's why a lot of law enforcement folks are alcoholics, divorced. Because of the lifestyle. So the music kept me a little more balanced because I had something besides this over here, which was just dark all the time. I could go over here and let loose with the music and be someone else. And so the music's probably really, I would say probably, I don't want to be dramatic and say saved my life, but it kept me sane.
In a way, it was like your therapist whenever you think about it too. So I can see why.
Yeah, it was very therapeutic, So God bless the music, especially heavy.
So, yeah, especially heavy metal. Actually, I do have to ask, for all the bands that you were a part of, did you ever have like a stage name persona, like what some bands do?
No, the only one was Fire Sphere with my wife, and I was priest, and I dressed. I dressed. We were kind of gothic, so I dressed gothic, with black and the that kind of goth clothes, but I would wear a priest shirt with a collar. My wife was Rosemary Butterfly, and each member had a name. The bass player was Osmodeus, and we all had a backstory. Nobody knew anything about us as real people, but only the band. So almost like Ghost a little bit. And each character had an extensive backstory. I mean, we spent a lot of time putting that thing together, the show, the concept. And it really was so cool. And I'm not even going to start going into the backstories because then we'll be on here for 3 hours. But suffice it to say, everybody had a really cool backstory in that. But that's the only time I went by some stage. What do they call it? A pseudonym or something like that? So, yeah.
I'd just say it's like a stage name or pretty much a nickname people gave you too. But
yeah,
the way it kind of made it sound like it seems like War met a Ghost and had a baby. And then that's what formed Fire Sphere in a sort of way.
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah. We, like I said, we had a big stage production, which it kind of became burdensome because there were some places we couldn't play because we had too much stuff. So we couldn't go into a little club with a small stage or something because we couldn't fit our screen and equipment and everything onto the stage. So it kind of got maybe a little too big for not playing big giant places. But we did get the opportunity to play a few big places and then festivals and stuff like that. So we got to use everything. So it was really cool. It's kind of sad. Thank you, COVID.
Yeah, COVID definitely was a hammer hitting a bunch of nails on coffins, if we wanted to call it that in terms of an allegory or something. Actually, analogy. Sorry, analogy. There we go. So, Actually, the reason I brought up the stage names earlier because one of the bands, and Kiss was perhaps kind of similar to it too, because obviously they went by their real names, but then they had the stage names with the Demon, the Star Child, and the Alien, Catman, and all that stuff too. So I thought I asked too, but I also remember a metal band called Mudvayne, who they did all their makeup and everything too, and they went by the stage names too. So instead of Chad, it was like Chud or something like that too. Mm-hmm. So it was almost like a disassociation from like your human identity. In a sense, kind of like how Marvel and DC are, where they got their human personas and then they rip off the clothes and then bring out the spandex tights and everything too. So
yeah,
then they turn into Wonder Woman or Superman or Batman for that reason.
Well, maybe it's it's no different. It goes all the way back to, oh heck, what was his name? He's saying he only had like one notable song, but it was Fire. Da, 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 fire. And he was the first to really wear makeup. And the first time I'd ever heard anyone do that, real high piercing. But I mean, it's not anything new. You had Alice Cooper, and it's not his real name, David Bowie. Guys, you could just keep going on down the list. Either used. And then became their persona, like Alice Cooper. Nobody remembers his real name. It's some long, hard to pronounce name anyway, but he's Alice Cooper. Same with David Bowie. But Kiss, just a long line of bands that, so some bands like Slipknot, Mudvayne, I'm trying to think of a couple of others though that they took it a little step further. Marilyn Manson, but heck, if you wanted to, you could actually go all the way back to the Beatles. The Beatles first started out as Teddy Boys, wearing leather and having their hair in fondue things, and playing the Cavern Club, and then Brian Epstein put them in suits. And that became their uniform. And then, of course, as time went on, they went psychedelic and they all started wearing really strange stuff and grew the hair long. And so bands have been doing this forever, rock and roll bands and of course, metal bands. So, but I never felt the need to, in the other band, other than Firesphere, I never felt the need to, go by some stage name or anything like that. Even though Ken Pike isn't like the greatest, stage name, but I guess I could have changed it to something really cool, but it's my name. Hey, so.
Hey, we ran back to Turnpike. There we go. And instead of P-I-K-E, it could have been P-Y-K-E. Do Turnpike that way. So yeah, that's an idea. I think the vocalist you were mentioning earlier, it was either David Bowie when he was Ziggy Stardust or King Diamond, whenever he was trying to remember the album Melissa too. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. A Merciful Fate. I was thinking Merciful Fate. So yeah.
Yeah. Or those are two really good examples. Ziggy Stardust. I mean, it was totally. I mean, that was beyond a character. It was something. He was androgynous and he was from another planet. It's like, wow, early 70s. Where did he come up with this stuff? But I guess it's not any different than if you look at opera. People are dressing up in costumes and playing a role and singing. There's no difference. It's just
heavier in a sense of heavier and maybe not loved by a good chunk of the audience. Assuming who you try to reach out to, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I wore costumes. I wore stage clothes in everything I've been in. I wore some form of stage clothes. In Absolon, I was leaned more towards a gothic Judas Priest look, but Malachi, it was leather, spandex sometimes, kind of gothic even then. I was goth before, back in the early 80s. I was kind of goth before goth really got popular, but you know, and we wore makeup and Malachi and stuff like that. I wore a little bit of makeup and stuff. We all did. So I've always wore stage clothes and painted my fingernails black, you know, things like that for the stage. But then when I'm not on stage, I just dress, you know, jeans and normal stuff. So people like, wow, I had people after we did a show, I come off stage and somebody come up to talk to me, and I'm, you know, real friendly. So I'm talking, and they're like, wow, you're not what I thought you were going to be. You know, what did you think I was going to be? Well, you just look kind of mean and, you know, evil. I'm like, I say, well, that's my stage look. This is how I am on stage. I don't dress like this all the time. I don't paint my fingernails black all the time, only for stage. You know, I'm really a nice guy. I'm not evil, and I'm not going to bite your head off or anything like that. But it's the persona I give off of stage, kind of dark and evil. Yeah. So that was my alter ego, I guess, coming out.
I guess it's a good thing being a cop and also being a bodybuilder too. I guess it gave you that intimidation sort of factor. So
Yeah.
you can see why.
And then dressing like either the Matrix meets Hellraiser, you know. So because, you know, I like to always say, we've got such sights to show you. So anyway, that's
actually that was actually a lyric from a metal band I know, Aborted. That was actually the first lyric of their song Cenobites. It was like, we have such sights to show you. They journey through the chasms of hell. Like artists paint on canvas, we toil with your flesh. So.
Oh yes, I love Hellraiser. I'm a big Pinhead fan. You know, it's like, your suffering will be legendary, even in hell. It's like, yes, great line. Anyway, see, I'm going down the road. I'm going off over here again.
It's all right. We got some good entertainment out of it too. And I know I said it twice already too, but thank you so much for your service there and all that you do too. So I know you mentioned about COVID earlier too, so maybe you could tie this in with Absolon as well. So I guess, how bad did COVID impact you, your family, and I guess if you want to elaborate anything else music-wise, go ahead.
I think it impacted music-wise like it impacted all musicians, big, huge bands, small bands. You know, couldn't play, you couldn't go out. I mean, of course, you're scared to death you're going to get it. So I didn't play. There was no more going out and playing live. I mean, at that time, you know, the only way I could do recording was to go to, you know, professionally, is go to a recording studio. So that stopped, because there was no way I was going to go to a recording studio. And of course, the guys in the band, you know, they were all the same. It's like, we don't want to go out. So that pretty well killed it. Family wise, actually, me and my wife, my wife is Japanese. She's from Tokyo. She's been in this country since 2015. And she's a composer. She composes music for TV and films. And then she also does dark cinematic ambient music. She's on a label, has a couple of albums out. I always tell people she has more talent in her pinky than I have in my entire body. But so we have now we have a recording an in-home studio. So now we can record, you know, we can record everything at home. So when COVID hit, being from Japan, of course, in Japan they all wear masks anyway. They're used to wearing masks, part of the culture. But we literally did not go anywhere for over 2 years. We ordered everything online. We stayed. The only time we went outside is just we go out and walk around our property. or go sit out on our front porch or something like that. But we didn't go anywhere for over 2 years. Now, we go shopping and we go places and stuff, but we wear a mask still religiously when we're out. And we have this little routine when we get back in the get back in the car. We have our little cleaning ritual, our hands and everything, and yeah. So because COVID's still here. It hadn't left. It's just not like it was during the pandemic, but it's still here. So we neither of us, we don't want to get sick. We don't want to get the flu either. Since we've been doing this, neither of us since the beginning of COVID, neither of us have been sick. We haven't had a cold. We haven't had the flu. We haven't had anything. So we're just going to keep doing what we do. And I look at it this way, if people don't like it, of course, Illinois is a blue state, so it's okay. Florida's different. But, if somebody doesn't like it, tough luck. I really, I don't care. This is me. This is my life. If I want to wear a mask, it ain't hurting you. Go on your way. But we haven't really had any, only one time, and it wasn't bad. It was just some woman wanting to make a smart ass comment about it. And then it was like, in the South, we got sayings about sticking your nose where it don't belong. Don't get that sucker bit off, but it's just like none of your business what we do in our life. So, but other than that, we hadn't really had any problem or anything with people, being approaching us being anti-mask and anti-this and anti-whatever. So,
I would say, unless you want your nose to be brown here, I suggest you back off, woman. So,
yeah. I was really surprised. I mean, the whole time we were in Florida before we moved to Illinois, and we had started going out a little bit. We I'd go to the gas station to fill up, and we go to Walmart and whatever. And and I'm not getting into politics or nothing like that, but Florida is a red state. Now you'd think that we would have had problems in Florida and wearing a mask. Because everybody just stopped. Well, most people in Florida weren't wearing a mask during the pandemic. That's why it went crazy there. But nobody gave us a hard time. Now, I don't know whether it's just the way I look, because I can look mean and intimidating when I want to. So I don't know whether it's people that I look like a hitman or something or what. But, we come to Illinois, a blue state, and the first time would you have a problem? It's in Illinois, and a Walmart. It was in Walmart. I was like, "What the hell is this?" But it's all good. So that's how COVID has kind of affected us. It really hurt the music. Well, I don't know if I can, because it pushed me to do Absolon again. I wasn't going to do Absolon again after the date. I was kind of done with Absolon. We talked about reigniting Fire Sphere, but then I don't know why. I just decided, I'm going to do another Absolon album. Now that's led into two more. So, but I can't. It had a good impact, I guess, too. You can say 100-year. Pandemic had some sort of good impact. I did lose some friends. So there are some very close friends that I lost to it. And, they had to keep work. And one guy, and this is just kind of a side note to show you how, our brains work, I guess. But the one guy, he lived in California, and he's a Disney fanatic. He went to Disneyland all the time. He was just a Disney nut. And so they traveled. They went up to Disneyland, and he he didn't wear a mask or nothing. I don't know why. He was one of those that wouldn't wear a mask. And they went to Disneyland. They stayed at the Disney hotel and stuff like that, and for a couple of days. And then on their way back, he started feeling sick. And by the time they got home, he couldn't breathe. So he went to the emergency, and they did something for him. They sent him home, and he got home and started having trouble breathing and died. It's like, what the heck? Why? A pandemic. Why you're going to Disneyland? You're not wearing a mask, and I just didn't understand it. It was unnecessary. But yeah. So yeah, COVID had that impact too. That's why we became so fanatical about wearing masks and cleaning our hands and all that kind of stuff. It's because I've already lost friends to it, and I know it's whether y'all want to think it's real or it's a hoax or it's a joke or you don't got to worry about it or whatever. I've seen it, and I'm not going to get sick. My wife's not going to get sick, so anyway, we'll see what kind of comments you get from your listening audience. There probably some people.
It should be all right. I mean, first off, it's freedom of speech too. There's nothing really I can do about that much. But I would say, first off, I'm sorry for your loss right there. And I gotta stay being fanatical in terms of washing hands too. Unfortunately, I don't know if you can see my
yeah.
The hands are getting dry and everything too. I mean, that's after blowing the nose X number of times too. I mean, that's just being fanatical too. And it's almost like, man, this is dry. I mean, it's almost like rubbing sandpaper against it.
Yeah, we wash our hands all the time, so it's okay.
That's good to hear. And it's good to see you guys are doing well there too. And actually, how did you and your wife meet too? Because you said she came over in 2015.
Well, see if I can make this one short. We were both on the same German record label, Absolon, and then she was on a label in Germany. And the owner of the label, he got hold of me one day and said, "Hey, you should get hold of Rio Utasato," and his German accent. I can't do that one very well. I can't do an Arnold. But I should get hold of her name is Rio Utasato, or her real name is Sachiko, but she's been known, her artist name is Rio, because of the type of music I do, and then her composing music for movies and films, and or TV and films and stuff. She does that same kind of stuff, so we could collaborate. Okay, so he gave me her email, and I emailed her and introduced myself, and told her that this Miguel, the owner, suggested I write. I didn't hear anything for a little while, and then she wrote and introduced herself and blah blah blah. And then we started kind of emailing back and forth, talking about possible collaboration and things like that. Then we decided to have Skype, actual Skype meeting. Now I'd already listened to her music, and I was already taken by her music. It was just incredible stuff. And her music puts you in a whole different place. You feel like you're in a different time, the mood it puts you in. And then I looked at some of her pictures, and I always tell folks when I talk about how we met is that when I looked at her pictures, I fell into her eyes. It was like, that was it. I hadn't even talked to her yet, and I was immediately love at first sight. I was just madly in love. So we Skyped, and we talked for I think we talked for 6 hours. She speaks really good English and writes English, and understands. She's really good at English. So we didn't have any language barrier. And after we got off that night, I was like, I love this woman. And probably
I come into your room for dessert.
Yeah. So probably, I don't know, it's probably about 3 weeks to a month later. I knew I wanted to marry her, because I had been divorced I had been separated from my previous wife for 5 years and then been divorced for about 2 years. 2 years when I first met Rio. So, and I had swore I would never, when I was after the divorce, I never ever would get married again. I was done with marriage. I was going to stay a single guy till the day I died. And then Rio come along and blew that out of the water. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just, and it's not like she needed me. She didn't ever want to come to America. So it's not like, some mail order bride from Russia or China or something that they want, they want to come to. She was very happy in Japan. She had a reputation, and everyone knew her in the industry in Japan, very well known. So it's not like she wanted to come here. And so, yeah, I wrote her, I sent her an email and told her how I felt and that I would love if she would consider maybe being my wife. And in Japanese, that's Oksan. And I wanted to be her Dana-san. And then I didn't hear from her for a while. And I was telling myself, stupid. That was stupid. Why did you do that? Now you've scared her away. It's just, I'll never hear from her again. Well, ultimately, she did write back, and then we Skyped, and she said yes. So I flew to Japan, and we got married in Tokyo in November of 20. November, December, January. It was 2013, I think. Yeah, because I had just retired. That No, it was 2014. Yeah, because it took us a year. Anyway, and then we started the immigration process, and that's hell. For anyone that's never been through the immigration process, it's a nightmare, an absolute, utter nightmare. It took us a year. And I went back and forth to Japan a few times. And then the last time in 2014, that October, I flew back to Japan. I just got a one-way ticket because I had decided that, I'm not coming back to the States without my wife. I was just going to stay in Japan. I'll just give all my stuff to my kids and whatever, and I'm just going to stay in Japan, and then I'll become a Japanese resident. And it seemed like everything just over October, November, December, everything just all of a sudden just happened. Boom. I don't know why, but it just got done. All of a sudden, just boom, because there was a bunch of things you have to do that she had to do before she could get her visa. And then we had to rush to get movers to get all her stuff together, and it had to be shipped over here. So she came here to the States in January 2015. We had 2 New Years. We left on New Year's from Japan, and then it was New Year's when we got here. So it's like we had 2 New Years. So, and she's been here ever since. And yeah, she's
Right.
and it's great. I mean, she's a musician, and we understand each other and our the music and all that stuff. And yeah, 10. So it's been over 10 years now, and best thing that ever happened to me was my Oksan. So anyway,
Okay. Congratulations there, man. Good to see you.
yeah,
On the right. Got a good catch, I like to say. Good catch.
yes,
Actually, I know a friend of mine who really wants to move to Japan as well, too. He's just had enough of the state. He's been right-leaning, but I think at this time, if he's saying, like, DeSantis is like a Nazi or anything like that, or doesn't really have any faith in the political system anymore, he
yeah.
just wants to get out, too. I'm kind of holding him to it because I'm not too sure because he's always had a habit of changing his mind, too. But when I see in Japan, it looks beautiful, actually. So I'm almost convinced to almost go out there, to be honest.
Yeah, Japan's it's I consider it my second home. It's a beautiful country, especially if you go out to the countryside and stuff. It's a beautiful country. A lot of people. You got to get used to I mean, it's one of the, I think, the most second populated. My dog. Thank you very much, Drac.
Yep. And we just got an hour into it. He just started barking.
He's been quiet this whole time, and he heard a noise outside. So that's. Wait. Okay. He went downstairs. I'm upstairs. Anyway, but it's like the second most populated city on the planet. So you got to get used to that. People are very polite. There they have certain ways. It's a whole different culture. You'd have to really study up on the culture and what to do and what not to do. It's serious there, or you can offend really quick if you're not careful. Luckily, I had a teacher, so I didn't. She kept me from making any really bonehead mistakes. Of course, the language. If you want to be a resident, you have to learn the language. And then you have to take a test and all kinds of stuff, But it's actually easier, a lot easier, to become a resident of a resident. I'm not talking about a national, but a resident of Japan than it is here. Here is a nightmare to get your permanent visa. Totally different in Japan. They're a lot more open, but the Japanese people. It's almost like German people. I'm German, and I have a lot of German friends. But yeah,
yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got some German too. Yeah.
Das ist gut. Yeah.
Sehr gut. Sehr gut.
The Japanese people are very hard-minded people. They're very polite. They're very proper. But they're very hard-minded people. And you can't sway. They do what they do, if that makes any sense. Kind of like I said, like German people. They're very, and it's like, don't, just get out of their way. I've learned this with my wife, that just say, oh, okay, no problem. you don't want to argue, especially with Japanese. They'll go all samurai on you. So it's still very much the Bushido code. It's very samurai in Japan with the culture and stuff like that. But I tell you what, if Rio ever wanted to go back to Japan, Japan's really changed though too. Now, she says it all the time. Japan's not the same Japan that when I first went there. Japan, it was always in the top 5 safest countries to live in the planet. All the rest are mostly European countries, but it's not like that now. It's really changing. She stays up on Japanese news, and it's really changing. And she doesn't even want to go back to Japan now. So that's pretty sad because this isn't the safest country in the world. We live probably one of the unsafest countries in the world, next to a country in civil war or something. But she doesn't, want to kill him. She doesn't even want to go back to Japan right now, because it's changed so much. So, but I love Japan. I love the people. I love the country. Your friend would probably, if he leans that way, he would probably like it there, because they tend to be a little bit more. I guess if you were in this country, they don't have the problem with racism in Japan. There is no racism in Japan. You're Japanese. You're everything else that isn't Japanese. so they don't have racism like. I think I'm not explaining that right. I mean, they don't recognize racism in Japan like we
They see
recognize.
you, and that's pretty much who you are right there. So they don't
Yeah,
see like the skin color, the facial expressions, or anything too. Like, oh, you dirty American, or something like that.
yeah. They of course, especially the younger generation, they like Americans. And you talk to the old folks. There's some that they lost World War II, so they don't like Americans, and they really don't like people of color in Japan. I mean, really don't. So that's what I mean by when I say they don't have a problem, an issue with racism in Japan like we have in this country, because there is no racism in Japan. you know, you're either Japanese or you're not. And if you're not Japanese, then you're accepted or you're not accepted. And if you don't like it, well, too bad. You're in Japan. Go away. you know. So that's how it is there. There's no NAACP. There's no organizations and stuff like that for rights and stuff in Japan. Yeah. So,
It's either take
but
it or
Japan
leave
might
it.
like
Yeah.
it, but they don't have a democracy like we do either. So
No.
they don't elect their prime minister. Of course, they have an emperor, although that's a figurehead, kind of like the king and queen of England. But they do vote on certain things, but it's a different government, different type of governing than here. So and you have to get used to that. There's things you do and there's things you don't do. I couldn't go out and jump up on a soapbox and start, spouting stuff. The police would come and, I don't have that right. You don't have that right in Japan. Unless you're running for an office, then you can do political speech. But they don't have a free First Amendment right there. So,
That's probably why we get away with the racism over here in the States. So yeah, you can see why.
Yeah. So your buddy would have to consider those kind of things. If he couldn't he couldn't move to Japan and start talking certain things, because he would be leaving Japan pretty quick. They tell him you got to go, go back to America. You go back.
I think go back where you came from, dirty American.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say I think he'll take his chances, but I think he'll live by the rule of no harm, no foul, that sort of thing too. So
yeah. So anyway, okay. I know I was rambling again.
it's all good. Actually, let's go ahead and jump into this one right here, I guess. Talk about the gear that you use for your music production, both in terms of your wife and I guess also you too, if you want to fill her in as well.
Okay. The what? What kind of production?
Anything you use for your music production, like DAW, your guitars, drum programs, that sort of stuff.
Well, I have several. Okay, just the recording. She uses Ableton, and she has. Oh my God, she has thousands and thousands of programs and sounds, and I mean, she can do orchestra, sound like a live orchestra. She uses she has like 10 keyboards in there. Her primary keyboard, I can't even tell you what it is. She's just got a brand new keyboard. It's small and it's brand new, just out, only been out for a few months. And if you put it plays like a regular keyboard, but then if you wiggle the key, it'll make sounds like all kind of weird sounds. Or if you push it in, it'll make other sounds. It is the coolest keyboard. You get these cool sounds out of it. It's German. I think it's from Germany. And I don't know. We have several studio mics, and then a ton of mics to mic cabinets and stuff like that. If I'm recording guitar, she's got a ton of equipment. And I don't know it all, but she has a ton of equipment. And just every sound, everything you could think of, she's got it. Well, I mean, because she composes music for TV and movies and stuff like that. So she can do Hans Zimmer. She can do all that kind of stuff. So, and she's really good at it.
She knows what she's doing. Yeah.
Oh yeah. She's really, really good on that, the keyboard and piano and everything. So that's the recording wise. I mean, now I got my equipment, my guitars and my amplifiers and stuff like that, that I used to write. But when it's recording time, I go in there and she plays engineer, and I record all my demos and rough tracks and stuff to send to the other guys, so of the songs. So that's kind of how we do it. But that was probably the shortest answer, just because I don't know.
It's a start. Let's see what else you can get here too, because we're almost coming up on an hour and 20 minutes already. But it's all good.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right.
You're talking too much. Give short answers. Gotta go like the hard Japanese short answers too. Be like, what gear do you use? Guitars or something like that too.
Yeah.
Just give like short answers like that or anything. But you keep doing it. You're doing good. You're doing good. So you're good. Okay. But I guess anyway, jumping to this too. In terms of your music wise, I guess what inspires your lyrical content, and I guess how do you form a song? Do you normally start with the music, or do you do lyrics first and then put the song in last?
Well, let me start with how I formulate a song. Usually, I'll just jump on the guitar and I'll just start throwing chords together, just doing different things. And when I run across something that like, oh, I like that sounded good, that combination of chords, then I'll start adding to it until I've got the skeleton of the song, a combination of chords that sound good, and then I'll start working on the melody, seeing if I can put a melody to it. I usually will do the melody to the verses first, because that helps lead me to a chorus. And once I've got the melody to the verses, or what will be the verses, then I go to the chorus from there, or a bridge. Sometimes I'll do a vocal bridge and then a chorus. Once I got all that done, and now I basically got this song together in the melody, and then I let the melody dictate what the mood is of the song, dictate the lyrics. I'm into horror movies and, of course, darker things. I'm kind of on the darker side of things. So my lyrics tend to lean on being darker. I don't. I try to stay away from politics in my music. I tend to sometimes I'll hit religion a little bit. I'm not religious. I'm not. I'm not. Let's just leave it at that. I'm not religious. So sometimes I'll sing about lyrically sing about stuff, and like the new album, I have War of Angels, and it's about, I based it off of the Prophecy movies, with Christopher, or whatever his name, Watkins, and the angels are warring, the good angels and the bad angels are fighting in heaven and all that kind of stuff. And then I have one song on there that actually is called Gates of Hell, and it's loosely based on Hellraiser. So that's how my lyrics, they'll just pop in my head. Maybe I watched a movie and there was a line in the movie that struck me, or I read something in a book, And there's a passage that that'd make a good song. Or it might just be something I'm feeling at the moment, like how I'm going to strangle a dog that just continues to bark. I'll put that into lyrical form. I might call it Dead Dog. Oh, dog, you're going to die. So anyway.
You can tell he's venting his frustrations right now. So
that's how the lyrical content comes to be. But it starts with the chorus melody, and then when I'm all done with that, I'll work on a beginning and an end. I'm kind of like anal about endings to songs. I like to have good endings, even if it's a fade out. But I like to have songs that actually end, not kind of sound like I didn't know how to end it, so I just did this. Kind of like a movie has a bad ending. You're like, what? They just didn't know how to end it, so they just tack that on. So that's kind of what I don't like songs that don't have good endings. So I kind of work on. I drove the guys that played on this album. I drove them nuts with the endings. Oh, why don't you try something like this for the ending? Because that ending's. So I drove them nuts with the ending. So that's how I do songs.
All right, sounds good. I had to laugh with the lyrics because the dog's barking back there. In fact, we're doing like a good hour, and all of a sudden the dog barks like total 3 times, and this guy goes on a little bit of a rant. So must have been the mailman or someone going through. So
he wants to be part of the interview.
I guess so. You heard you're part of it too, but hey, get me in there. So
yeah,
not really working out too well.
Next.
All right, no worries.
All right.
I guess first off, how'd you come up with the name Absolon, by the way?
That one's really easy. It's not based on the terrible Christopher Lambert movie Absolon. I was reading a Stephen King book. I can't remember the name of the book now. You're talking early 2013. And I ran across the name Absolon, but it was spelled ABAS. ABAS. It was all A's. Like Absalom, Absalom. And I thought, well, that's kind of a cool name. I've never heard that name. Something a metal band name. But I didn't like the way it was spelled. So I made it Absolon instead of Absalom. So
clever. Yeah,
so that's how the name Absolon came to be in that. But a lot of people think I named it. Oh, is it because of that movie?
Actually, I had no idea. I mean, I would have known. Actually, what was I thinking of? I thought it was like maybe like a Sumerian god or something too. I was thinking like, was it something like that? Let's see. Maybe it would be something like that.
Actually, I looked it up. No, that was the title, The Blood Seed. The new album, when I titled it The Blood Seed, I was just doing some research online. It was already after it was done. And I found that I can't remember the name of it's some Middle Eastern demon. And I can't remember the name of the demon, but the name means blood seed. I'm like, how did that happen?
I thought it would have been like Pazuzu, because I know they talk about him a good bit.
Yeah, not Pazuzu though. I know Pazuzu. We're good friends. Me and him sometimes. Yeah, he comes over for dinner every once in a while. He's pretty cool dude. Yeah, I'm only kidding. I don't have Pazuzu over for dinner. Sometimes lunch, but not dinner. Anyway, but yeah, so that's how the name Absolon came about, out of the book.
I should do have a friend who's part of a metal group. It was called Portal, not Pazuzu, and it's actually a metal band out of Michigan. And I can't remember. I think the one time he just woke up, and I think it was because it was The Exorcist we're playing. I think that's the demon that took over the little girl. Yeah. And was like doing that whole thing. Would be like, you're gonna suck cocks in the underworld or something like that.
Yeah, Pazuzu, he's the god of the locust or something with the wings, and yeah.
Pestilence sounds better.
Pestilence, and yeah, it's kind of the second Exorcist movie, the really bad one, and he's buzzing around. Yeah, I like Pazuzu though. Yeah, and some of those, demon, like Osmodeus. That's what I always like that name, Osmodeus. That's why our bass player in.
I was pronouncing it wrong. I thought it was like Ozymandias or something. I always pronounce it wrong.
Well, there's. I always confuse it with. I sing the song "Come and Rock Me." There's Amadeus, this composer Amadeus. The demon is Osmodeus, and he's actually a pretty cool demon. If there can be a cool demon, he's not like a bad demon.
He's not the Satan sort of level sort of demon too. He's actually the Devil May Cry, the Dante version sort of demon, if we want to call it that too, if you know that.
He does have an army though. I mean, he does wield a lot of power and but he's not like a really, really bad demon. He can be a cool guy.
He's got a little bit. Yeah. So, all right.
Him and Pazuzu, they get together. They hang and do things together. And like I said, they come over for lunch and dinner sometimes, and we all hang out. It's pretty.
Let's go party at Absolon's house.
Yeah.
He just moved into Illinois right there, so let's go mess around with Chicago afterwards. So.
Yeah. Well, they don't care for Illinois too terribly much, so I have to like pulling teeth to get them to come over. I call, I message, I text, I call. It's like they don't write me back. Be weeks and weeks. I don't think they like me anymore. But
you did something wrong too. So well, while it lasted.
Yeah.
Right. For the next question right here, you might mention a little bit about the challenges you kind of face too, but I guess what sort of challenges do you face these days? I guess in this case, being an indie musician, I guess you and your wife still have collaborations that you struggle with?
I think that the hardest thing is just recording. I mean, because it's long distance. The drummer Wayne and Alex, the guitarist, they're in. I think Wayne's in New York. I think Alex might be near you. So I think they're in a band called Severed Angel, and I don't know if you ever heard of them or if you've talked to.
Oh my gosh, is that the one with Wayne Noon, right? Is that what they're part of?
Yeah. Wayne Noon. He's my drummer too.
Oh my God, I interviewed that guy a while back. Oh man.
Oh yeah. Severed Angel's great, and I love their music. It's more prog metal, but I'm into their. But anyway, I want to start plugging another band. But he, they all live over there on your side, the East Coast. So it's recording. We kind of we got to send things back and forth, but I guess actually, thank the Lord for that, huh? That we in this day and age we can do that. You don't have to get in a studio anymore. So me and the wife, we haven't collaborated on anything like Firesphere or anything in a long time. I mean, she's doing her thing, her dark ambient stuff, and then of course, I'm doing Absolon, but she helps me with it. Like I said, she records all my when I got rough tracks to send to Alex and Wayne. She records for me. I go in there and do my thing, and so I don't know. I think the only hardest thing about all of this is not being able to go out and play live. I should have brought a drink up here. Been talking so damn much. I'm like, throat's getting dry. I get some spit down my throat. Okay, I feel better now. I really miss playing live. I live for the stage. I love being on stage. and entertaining an audience, even if it's 3 people. If they're getting into it, I get into it. I don't care. So I really miss playing live, but I don't see how, because of the long distance and everything. I don't know how we would ever. I'd have to put together a band locally to do live, and then it wouldn't be the same. You know, trying to find the same sound drummer as Wayne, trying to find the same sound guitarist as Alex to replicate the album. I don't know if I could do it. So, um, so that's the hardest thing. Yeah, I miss playing live. I guess I'm just going to be like the Beatles. I'm just going to be a recording artist, and that's it. Just record music, put it out there, and hope somebody likes it. So,
Hey, that's something at least. That's all you can really ask for at this point, too. It was funny when you mentioned Saturday Angel. I think, like, wait, was that Wayne Noon at first? And I was like, oh, man, I interviewed that guy. So, yeah.
yeah, and
Me and him.
and their singer Alex, he did all the guitar work, and he did all the guitar, the bass, keys that we have on there, and he mixed and mastered it. So he like did all that. Oh, and some backing vocals. He helped me with backing vocals.
Yeah.
The guy's like multi stinking talented. It's like, and Wayne, I played over all my years in music. I played with some really, really good drummers. I mean, we're top-notch professional drummers, and Wayne, I put Wayne right up there in my top 5 favorite drummers that I've worked with. He did such a good job on this. Between him and Alex, they gave the songs energy and life, and for traditional metal, they helped make it just energy to it. So yeah.
Yeah, Wayne's a pretty cool dude. And actually, we had a blast, too, because he has a whole bunch of. Actually, I wasn't sure if you saw the interview, but if you haven't, go check it out, because his whole basement, I guess, or man cave, whatever it was just filled with all sorts of stuff like action figures. He was real big into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, nice little chat about that, too. Even though the application I used at the time, I can't remember what it was called, but I don't really care at this point because I'm pretty much done using Skype now for recording. But the application I used at the time wasn't great, so unfortunately I left some stuff out. But it's still got a nice little hour and stuff, so it's all good. But shout out to Wayne nonetheless, too. He's a great guy. I'm sure you guys see, because he's doing a little radio now. I want to try to get on and do a little interview with him.
Oh yeah, you should. Yeah, he's got Rat Salad Review, and there's a radio show that he just, I think, recently started also doing. But yeah, I've been on. He had me on Rat Salad Review with the last album. And it's just a fluke that we met. I think the universe had it all planned that we were supposed to meet. We were both on Slip Trick Records, and he contacted me about how I felt about Slip Trick Records. Was I having any problems? And I told him Slip Trick Records sucks, and I wasn't happy at all in that. And so we started building a friendship. And then when I started the new album, I got hold of him. Actually, there was another guy that was going to play drums, but things happened in his life. He couldn't do it. He wasn't going to be able to do it. So I was like, what am I going to get? And I thought, Wayne, he's a drummer. Maybe he'll do it. So I got hold of Wayne. He said, yeah, I'll do it. And so I brought him in, and the guy had playing guitar. His name is Mark Vanderberg in Germany, and he played the guitar on the last album. So he did one song. We got one song done, and he started. it just, the whole thing was just too overwhelming. He didn't have the time to do the album. He had family commitments, and he had gotten promoted at work, and his job was a lot more intense. And he just couldn't do it. So he had to bail. But I'm just like, okay, I'm right in the middle of this album. What am I going to do now? I don't know anybody, guitar wise. And Mark is like, Mark is an incredible, phenomenal guitar player. He's like Yngwie Malmsteen. He just, Yngwie and Norm from Europe are his guitars, the guys that he's into. So that's how he plays. Just incredible guitar player. So I was sad that he couldn't finish the album, but it actually worked out really well. So Wayne suggested Alex initially to mix and master, and then when Mark bailed on me, and I was talking to Wayne and Alex about, and I don't know what I'm going to do now. I guess there's not going to be anything to mix and master because I'm not going to do an album. And Alex was like, well, I'll do the guitar, and the bass. I could do the guitar and bass. I just thought you were a singer. I didn't know. I find out, he's a trained, went to some school or college or something, not Berkeley, but something like that. He's like theory trained and all this stuff. I'm like, wow, okay. So there you go. He came on board, and he did all that, mixed and mastered, and I think I'm really happy with this album. Totally new sound for Absolon. I like the sound. It's what I wanted. With Mark, it was more of a European metal sound, the Scorpions, with Wayne and Alex, it's closer to what more of the Judas Priest, Queensryche, Crimson Glory, it's more of that now. And that's kind of what I wanted. So, yeah.
That's very cool. And shout out to Wayne nonetheless too for having put these nice groups together too. And I guess small world after all, being able to reach out to all these guys as well too. So that's pretty awesome.
Yep. Okay. Exactly.
All right. So I'm going to skip over the advice one. We'll actually mold that in with the last question, but let's go ahead and jump to the fun ones. You ready?
Oh, there's more. Okay.
I mean, yeah, we still had a good bit, but we're almost coming on 2 hours to be honest too. So
wow.
Right.
Okay.
We had some stories to tell you people, so hopefully they lasted this long. So
that's true.
Actually, I don't know how some podcast interviews do over 3 hours. I mean, I've seen some of those go 4 hours at times, so it's pretty weird.
Well, I went to, I think 2 hours with Wayne on that, and I think there was one other interview I went about almost 2 hours. So, because I tell her I'll talk. The last one that I went with 2 hours, he specifically said, please, talk. Don't just say nothing or just be very short. And I told him, I said, brother, you don't want to tell me to talk because I'll talk. And I did.
That's the southern side, yeah. He's bringing it out too. So
yeah, I'll talk all day.
Okay, cool. But nonetheless, to jump into the fun ones right here, I guess. Start with the first one right here, I guess. What would you consider as your favorite food?
Fruit.
More specifically?
You assume I eat fruit. Grapes. Is that a fruit? No, that's not a fruit.
I would have thought so. I mean, you like the green or the dark purple sort of grapes?
Green.
Good choice. Actually, I was trying to remember too, because I think we left them outside up there, but those are the ones that were starting to wither and start to not as good as they used to be. They lost their ripeness. So unfortunately, got to those ones late. So I had to ditch those ones. Sadly.
They're just fermenting. Yeah.
I don't know. But I don't like when they're soft or they got a little bad color to them too. I'm always worried when they got that bad color. So
they're mushy. No. I can't eat. They got to be nice and firm right out of the fridge cold. Yes.
True. Yes. Actually, I thought since you were married, to a Japanese woman too. I thought Asian food would have been on top of your list as well.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, food wise, just in general, I love Japanese food. There's a couple of things I don't like. Ginger. They eat this. I mean, it's like ginger. Not like our ginger root that we have, or like you might have in root beer, or ginger ales. That stuff's like, I can't stand that. And there's one other thing. She cooks Japanese, food for us. I don't like anything that has a fishy taste. And some Japanese food, because they have a lot of fish and stuff. And there's a couple of things that have the fishy taste, and I don't like. But the other stuff, though, not only is she talented as musician and composer, and that she's a cook, and I didn't know that before I married her. I didn't know that she could cook. I learned that after we got married, and she came to here when she got to the States, and she started cooking. I'm like, wow.
Bonus. There we go.
Oh God, she's just an awesome cook. So she cooks just fantastic Japanese food, and I'd never had Japanese food. I'd never had Indian food, like curry and stuff like that, until I went to Japan, and they have Indian restaurants all over Japan. They love Indian food. And she took me to an Indian restaurant near her apartment, of course, authentic Indian restaurant. And that was the first time I'd ever had Indian food. Wow. I love the curry and the naan, the bread and stuff. Just, it was like, wow, this is so good. And so she can make great curry, and so I get some little Indian food too. And then I get Southern food. I taught her how to cook some Southern stuff. Like I have some
biscuits and gravy and all those guys.
Yes. Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
I make if I have biscuits and gravy, I make it. She doesn't make the biscuits and gravy. She thinks it's gross.
Well, that was just an example, but nonetheless, too. Good choice. And excellent catch, by the way. They're made. Excellent catch. So, for next fun questions right here. Since you told me you're a horror fan, I guess, what would you consider as your favorite movie?
Okay. Just wanted to clarify. That's horror, not horror. I'm not a fanatic of horrors.
Well, no, I'm sorry. I guess my English isn't as good as it used to be. Horror movies. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but my English is very bad.
I forgive you.
Okay.
I'm not into horrors anymore.
Anyway.
Yeah. So I love. I'm really big into like haunted house type, movies. Supernatural ghost stories. I'm not real big into the body horror, Cronenberg and stuff like that. Some I like. There's some I do like. But I like more of this, the supernatural, bump in the night, type. Some of the possession movies, but they're all the same. It's just, it gets too old. And I like action movies. I guess that goes without saying. The John Wick and Equalizer and
Jason Bourne, yeah,
Jason Bourne, because he kicks butt. Those kind of movies too.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, me and my wife are both big horror movie fans. Always watching a horror movie.
October and Halloween came early too. Actually, what I started doing with my drum covers, because I'm also a drummer as well too. I forgot to mention that.
Oh, okay.
But I actually, for October's now, I always pick like horror sort of theme drum covers to do. So I got some for like Slayer. I'm trying to remember what else. Actually, I did one with Iron Maiden, and then I did the Slayer at Dawn They Sleep during that whole week of Halloween. So I was pretty happy with that.
It's Halloween at our house 365 days a year.
Happy Halloween, baby. Yeah.
Yes, it's Halloween.
I just think of
Easy here.
the Peter Steele sort of style with the song Black #1. It'd be like, he says Happy Halloween, baby.
I like type O negative.
Type O negative, yeah. Good choice.
Yes.
But may he rest in peace too. It's a shame we lost him too soon.
Yeah. He could prove that you didn't have to sing 4 octaves high to still be an awesome singer. He could sing like this, and still just like, wow, that's so cool.
It just fit the music. That's the thing. It just fit the music. That's the thing. So.
But then he could go up, he still didn't sing like Bruce Dickinson, but he still would go up high. But it was just, he was the epitome of goth in the sense of the dark, vampiric, Victorian goth. Just.
Yeah, even though some of his topics could be a little depressing at times, to be honest.
Yeah, they
great music.
They could, yeah. But he was cool. Yeah, I'm gonna start that. My next album is gonna be type. The heck's going on with my phone? Like I look at Max Headroom there for a minute. Anyway.
Hey, well, we got the bobblehead and everything too. We got the bobblehead next. There we go. We're flipping out all over the place. He's being possessed by Pazuzu.
Oh man, you made me do Pee Wee Herman.
Okay. It's all good. It's all good. For next to the fun questions right here. Okay. First off, do you drink by any chance?
I have an occasional glass of red wine every once in a blue moon. I stopped drinking anything heavier in 1982. Up till then, if you'd asked me this question prior to 1982, oh yeah, a little Jack. I was into then, and I was young, but like kind of the liqueur, anisette, little Jimmy Bean, stuff like that. But not since 1982. I stopped. So I was not a good drunk.
I
got a little too. I just wanted to fight and stuff. I was not. So I quit. So now, but every once in a while, I do like a little red wine. So not the whole bottle.
Obviously, can't do the whole bottle. So.
Just like half a glass. But that's like once we one time we had a bottle in the fridge. Bought a bottle of red wine, a pretty good red wine. A year later, that bottle was still sitting in the fridge unopened. So that shows you how much I drink. So yeah.
I mean, I was the same way with a bottle of Jameson I got for Christmas the one time. So you ain't lying. So I know what you mean too. But congratulations nonetheless on being sober too. So, and I guess what would you say is your favorite non-alcoholic drink?
Coffee.
Coffee guy.
I drink a lot of coffee. It was out of necessity. When you're on, working 12 to 8, and you're working shift work, and you're driving around in a black and white, you drink a lot of coffee. So
That was got to keep you awake. So yeah, I can see why.
Yeah. Well, my dad was a truck driver, so I always tell people I came out of my mother's womb with a cup of coffee, and drinking and cursing probably too, but I've been really good. I haven't cursed.
Not yet, at least. So
not usually. My words can be rather flowery, but I'm trying to keep it cool.
We're keeping it a PG rated. We're doing good. We're keeping it PG rated.
I don't. All your listeners may not want to hear. That's something I hate when musicians get on, interviews and stuff, or they're talking, and they or especially from the stage, and they feel that it's absolutely necessary. It's part of the shtick, I guess, or part of being a metal musician that, you know, every other word's a curse word, you know, and it's like, I can cuss like a drunken sailor, I mean, in my profession, that was just part of the language, was cussing. That's how you communicated with bad guys, because they understood that, along with threats. But I don't find it necessary to cuss at my audience. I don't need to get up there and call them, mofos and, F this and F that and whatever, and take a swig out of, vodka bottle or something. And I don't feel like it's necessary in an interview, it's like, gee, you want to see how tough I am? Let me use all these curse words. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't have a problem. Yeah, if that's what they do, that's what another musician. That's just, and it's part of their vocabulary, and they can't help it. But I can't control it, and I just don't think it's necessary to, it's one thing if you throw in an F-bomb here and there, like, yeah, that's fucking cool, But
There he goes.
yeah, but if every other word is, kind of like, what's that, the black actor that did some of the Marvel comic, where the
I was gonna say Dave Chappelle or something with Kevin Hart, but I'm not too sure.
oh, for Pete's sake, and everything is motherfucker.
I don't know, that's Samuel L. Jackson or something.
Yeah, every other word, but it fits him. It wouldn't be the same. But anyway. So see,
We digress. Yeah.
I digress, and I was able to work in the F-bomb.
Yep. You came in an hour later, to be honest, almost 2 hours later. So that's all good. Yeah. All right. We kept the PG rated up until that point. Now we put a PG-13 on it too. So that's all good.
Yeah, I can make it X.
Let's not do that. We don't want to get banned from YouTube for that.
No. Well, that's the other thing too. You get on cursing on, I don't know. Okay, I'll move on. I know I'm going on here.
No worries, you're good. But we are down to the last one for the fun questions here. But I guess, what would you consider is currently your favorite song, or a song you've been listening to a good bit recently?
Oh, that's a tough one, because I don't listen to much, like on the radio. And when I do, I listen to the classic rock. I can't stand most of the music that's out now. Pop, rock, any of it, it all sounds the same. Even the metal. There's some good stuff out there, but so much of it just sounds the same. And I don't know which song is which anymore. And is this the same band or yeah. I like Rammstein. I listen to a lot of Rammstein.
Du hast mich. Yeah.
I was going to say, if I guess, yeah, Du hast. But I don't know. That's a hard question, because I don't listen to, I listen to CDs of all the the stuff I like. In that, so Judas Priest. Well, no, the new Judas Priest album, I'm digging. So
The whole one, Panic Attack and all those ones, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's pretty good. I think it's I think as good as Firepower, the last one. There's a couple of songs that that are kind of maybe, but they're still good. They're still Judas Priest. And Halford is still, at least on the album, man, he's still 70-some years old. God, I hope I still can sing when I'm 70-some. Still hit notes. Like, damn. But yeah. So there's that. Now if you were to ask me what my top, my favorite songs, period, are, that would be a little easier. So
kind of hard to live it all out. Actually, it's always been like one song. There's almost like if they had a gun to your head, maybe like you can only pick one song. Like what would it be? It's almost like that sort of scenario. So
for me,
yeah.
that would have been Hotel California.
Oh my gosh, I heard that one too many times already. It's always on the radio.
I wish I had written that song. That song, and then Don't Fear the Reaper.
That one too, yeah.
Those two songs are two songs. Every time I hear them, I go, God, I wish I had written those songs. Those songs are just.
You wish you could be the guy hitting the cowbell on Don't Fear the Reaper.
Yeah. More cowbell.
That's going to be the hilarious SNL skit I've ever seen in my whole life.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Christopher Walken is probably the worst thing he could have ever done, because it's so. Everyone thinks of that when they think of Christopher Walken's now, not the movies and stuff, but the cowbell. No.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you had a good ensemble cast there, because I think that was Will Ferrell who was doing the cowbell and the whole dancing and everything too. So yeah.
Oh, Will Ferrell, he's funny anyway. So
yeah, God bless him too, nonetheless.
Oh. Right. Okay, I'm not going to go off in the weeds. I could easily go off in the weeds here, but I'm not. I'm back.
Well, we are approaching a 2-hour mark already here too, but we are down to the last question already.
Okay.
And actually, this one we are going to mold a little bit too, because I didn't ask you about advice you get to musicians in our band together community. So before we jump into it, did you have any questions for me or any final words you want to say before we jump into it?
No.
There you go. That was the shortest answer you gave today, so it's all good.
No.
Okay.
9.
Okay. 9. They got to say it with authority. 9.
9.
Okay, there you go. Much better. All right. So my last question right here, too, and this is how it's going to work, too. Given what COVID has done, and obviously it seems like you've been blessed in a way, maybe a little drama here and there, too, and I know you lost some friends along the way, too, but for those musicians and people who have been impacted in some way, what sort of message of hope, and you can also mold in advice, that you would give to these musicians and people out there as we try to move forward in a post-COVID world?
There, you can still make music. If music is your passion, and the industry has changed. You got all the social platforms, which makes things easier, but things harder for musicians. It's like a two-edged sword, the whole social media platform thing. But you can still make music. You know, you can still have your own little home recording studio. Heck, you could go on what the heck is the name of that band thing? It's an app, a program. You can, and it actually works okay. You can record your music.
GarageBand, I think.
GarageBand, yeah. I mean, it's not the greatest thing in the world, but you can still record a song. So there's nothing stopping a musician from writing music and recording music. And if that's your passion, that's what you want to do. I mean, it's my passion, and I would find a way. If I wasn't fortunate enough to have, our own home studio, I would find a way to record, because I'm going to keep writing. I love writing music, and music. I've tried twice stepping back away from music, and I was just I didn't want to do it anymore. I was burnt out. But the passion for music is like a drug, and once it's in your system, it's there forever. And if you're truly passionate about music, and I'd always come back. I couldn't stay away from it too long before I had to, just like needing a fix. I had to write. I had to pick up guitar and play, and I had to sing, even if it was only to me in a room. I had to do that. So I would tell any musician, especially if you're starting out right now, pursue that ambition, pursue that dream, hone your skills. I did not start as a decent singer. I did not start as a good guitar player. I did not start as a good songwriter. But over all these years, it's gotten better and better and better as I worked on it and practiced. And that's what you have to do. You don't expect it to happen overnight. You're going to get some bloody fingers from playing guitar. You're going to get a sore throat and whatever, and not think you're very good singing, but don't give up. Keep working at it. If you could hear some of my early singing, it was bad. It was really bad. It doesn't sound like the same guy. My songwriting was just not all that great. It was sort of. I think I've gotten better over the years. I can actually write a cohesive, coherent song, but it takes time. But you got to have the passion to do it, and then you got to do it. Now if you want to, you want to play live, I think it's safer now. It's easier now to go play live. I think if I could put together a band, I'd go out and do shows. So if that's something, get out and play. It makes you a better musician playing live. So I guess the final word is, just go for it. Do it. If it's something you want to do, you have a passion for it, go for it. Don't let nobody tell you otherwise. Don't let anybody tell you, oh, that's a pipe dream, or why can't you get another hobby like, I don't know, coin collecting or something. If I had a dollar for every time over all these years somebody told me I was wasting my time, or why are you doing that, or you're never going to be anything, you're never going to, it's just a dream. I mean, I'd have at least $5, so no, I'd be wealthy. So don't let nobody talk you out of it. You do what you want to do. And like I said, music, I think, is the thing that put the balance in my life all the years I was doing law enforcement, and it kept me from going insane. And now, I'm retired, and it's like, besides my wife, it's everything. It's the center of my universe. It's what I have to do in my older age. I'm still living the dream, man. Don't let nobody tell you. I'm going to be, 63 in August. So, and I'm still doing it. I'm going to be like Rob Halford, still writing songs, still recording, still singing. Like I said, if I could go play live, I would. So, even age-wise, it's just a number. Don't let nobody ever tell you can't do it. I'm going to be banging my head till they're taking me out in the casket. And then I'll be in the casket banging my head against the casket. So there.
Spoke like a true prodigy. All right. Sounds good. All right. I was just getting ready to cut you off because I think you were going off on tangents right there too. So I was getting worried there. So
yeah.
But you're all good though too. Thanks for sharing that message.
Okay.
All right. So Ken, we reached the end of my podcast right here. And boy, oh boy, I think we set a new record for talking over 2 hours. So it's all good, man. All right. I like it too. I forgot to ask earlier too, I guess, what social media you're on? And I guess, are you part of the Band Together group?
We're on Bandcamp. I think it's Absolon.bandcamp.com. We have a website, and I can't remember the website. It's like riot.wix something. I'll have to text it to you or something. You could put it on.
We'll share it in the description. So,
yeah. When we have a YouTube. We're on YouTube. I mean, just look up Absolon on YouTube, and we're on Sound.
Cloud.
Yeah.
Was it SoundCloud? Because that's what it seemed like you were going.
Yeah. So Bandcamp, SoundCloud. We have the website. We're on YouTube. If anyone's interested in getting a CD, a physical copy of the new album, they can go to No Life Till Metal Records, all one word, .com, and you can get the CD.
All right, sounds good there too. And you guys got any shout outs, any final words you want to say before we close?
I do should give a shout out to my teammates, the guys that made this album actually happen, because it wouldn't have without them. And that's Wayne Noon and Alex Rapetti. Without those two guys, this album wouldn't have happened. And then of course my wife, because she's put up with me during this process, and then recording rough tracks and eating up her time. So I've got to thank my wife. So Rio.
All right, sounds good. So everyone, my guest today was Ken Pike, hailing from Illinois. He's part of the group Absolon. I guess he's also part with Wayne Noon and Alex from Severed Angel. So you guys make sure you go check out the music and everything too. Go check out Absolon on all streaming platforms, the socials. Get this guy up. This guy's definitely a talker too. And he'll definitely hit you with a good number of stories as well too. So you can hit him up at the local pub. He'll share a story with you. So it's all good and everything too. So let's go up a brother out. Let's go check the music out and keep rocking on, y'all. So Ken, I want to thank you again so much, Ken, for coming on. You stay safe. Rock on. Stay tuned, y'all.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.